Welcome back to Tech in the Real World. My name's Mark Darwin, and today we're going to be looking at the iPhone 16 Plus and Pro Max. So what I'm going to do is going to compare these two phones together and try and recommend to you which one you should buy and for what reason. Now, both these phones are aimed at a separate audience. So the 16 Plus is aimed at the average user who fancy a bigger screen, and the 16 Pro Max is aimed at the professionals and the creatives who want the biggest screen, the best cameras, and the most memory they can get in a phone, and the most powerful chip they can get in a phone. So I've had the phones now for a couple of days. I've had a good play around with them. I've done some video recording on them, some pictures, and I'll put some in the video. I'll show you how they perform. And to be honest, I've been very impressed with the camera improvements. So I've had a Pixel 9 Pro XL for a few months now because I switched back to Android because I just fancied a change because I was getting a bit bored of iOS. And actually, coming back to iOS again on these new phones has given me a new lease of life. Actually, so let's get into this review. Let me click to the unboxing now. Today we're going to be unboxing the iPhone 16 Pro Max and the iPhone 16 Pro Max clear case. Usual Apple packaging these days, no plastic. Easy access tabs, hasn't changed for a couple of years now. Let's see what we've got here. Oh, here we are, look. So this again, as I said before, is the white titanium finish iPhone 16 Pro Max, which I think looks absolutely gorgeous, as all Apple products do. Let's go ahead and take the go for the peel off. So in the box, we've got the usual Apple USB-C cable and SIM card tool. All right, pop the box to one side while I just have a quick look at this case. So again, usual Apple standard packaging with these days, with the tab release at the top. So this was £49, this case, which is quite a lot of money for a clear case. I know you can get them a lot cheaper online. So I've never actually had an Apple official clear case before. I've always paid £7 or £8 for one of Amazon. So I'm intrigued what you get for one that's a bit more expensive. But to me, it probably feels very similar to the...
Hey guys, so today we're going to be looking at the unboxing the iPhone 16 Plus, 128 gigabyte in beautiful ultramarine, and the Silicon Plus case to go with it. So I'm actually going to record this whole video on the 16 Pro Max. I want to give you an idea of the video quality indoors. So it's getting 4K 60. And you can get a good idea then of the quality between the both. And then what I'll do tomorrow is, or later on, when I've got some more unboxings to do, I will film the 4K 60 again on the iPhone, this iPhone, to give you a difference in quality. Hard to get in. Right, now, I don't know about you, but I absolutely love this new blue colour. I think it's fantastic. Compared to what you get in the Pros, I think the standard iPhone colours are much nicer, as a lot of people would agree. This feels nice and light as well from the aluminium construction. And I think, the iPhone 16 Plus, this one, sorry, so this is the slightly bigger model. So we'll go for the peel.
Okay, now we've had a look at the unboxing. Let's get into these phones and go over some of the features and my initial thoughts after a couple of days with the phones about both performance-wise on the cameras, which is what most people will be buying the phones for, and also everyday use. So the 16 Plus, I have in ultramarine in the Apple silicon case, which I think is one of my favorite colors ever. I also bought the matching Apple Watch to go with it, with the matching Apple Watch strap. In the 46mm with the ultramarine blue strap, which I think is just a gorgeous phone and colour and watch, and I think it really complements the two together well. So that's my initial aesthetically pleasing thought on both these phones. So you have two cameras on the back here. So you have a 48 megapixel fusion camera, which is the identical camera to the one on the 16 Pro Max. So photos I've noticed from both those cameras together give you pretty much identical results. And you can take in full resolution now on this, even though it's not RAW, so it doesn't give you pro RAW. You can't do pro RAW on this, which for everyone who doesn't know what pro RAW is, it's Apple's essentially version of taking RAW images like you can do on a DSLR and then edit them in Lightroom. But you can take full resolution 48 megapixel images on this phone now, which is really useful. I've been doing that to compare against this, and I really cannot tell the difference between this phone's 48 megapixel main camera and this phone's camera. So if you just use the main camera, there's very little point going for the Pro Max. I would stick with the Plus or the 16 because you're going to get the same results on the camera. You've also got a 12 megapixel ultra wide on this phone, which has been improved slightly. They've changed it up slightly, made it a little bit better. I won't go into too much details on that because I'm trying to keep it not as technical as possible. But essentially, it should give you more light into the lens and give you a better picture. And from my initial tests, I'll show you some images if we clip them in a minute. As you can see from these images I'm going to show you now, I think the 16 Plus ultra wide camera does give some excellent results. I'm very impressed with it. Now, there's more news on the Pro Max, 16 Pro Max ultra wide camera, because this now has a 48 megapixel sensor, so a completely new sensor to last year's, because it was 12 megapixel last year. So we've got 12 megapixel in the Plus and the 16, and we've now got a 48 megapixel sensor ultra wide in this, which should give you much better results. Now, for my initial testing, when you take a raw file, so you don't get the full res. You don't seem to get the full resolution picture when you take a raw file. You still get a 12 megapixel pixel binned image. So essentially, it takes a 48 megapixel image, it takes out some of the pixels, bins them, and then produces a 12 megapixel image. Now, this in theory should be better because it's got more pixels to work with, so it should give you an overall better result. But I think, for my comparison, I'll show you some pictures now. If we clip to those pictures, I don't think there's much difference between the ultra wide on this one and that one for my initial testing. So again, yes, it sounds good that it's got a great ultra wide, and this one's got a slightly worse ultra wide, but camera wise, there may be some slight improvements in this one, but it's not night and day difference as you would expect for the money difference in the phones. Let's go and look at the main difference, which is the fact that you do not get a telephoto lens on the 16 Plus and 16 standard iPhone. Now, this has caused some controversy amongst a lot of YouTubers and tech reviewers, because in the Android world, you can get for less money a phone for half the price with 3 or 4 cameras and a telephoto lens, which may not be amazing quality, but it will give you a telephoto option. So Apple don't choose to do that. They choose to put 2 higher quality cameras in, an ultra wide and a main camera. And actually, from my experience of using this phone, I don't find that a bad thing, because it does have a reasonably good digital zoom. So you can get up to 3 or 4 times digital zoom without losing too much quality. And I'll show you some examples of the digital zoom on this compared to the actual telephoto zoom on this. So the telephoto camera, again, has been improved slightly on this, but it's not much difference to the 15 Pro Max from last year. So I don't expect night and day upgrades over this one compared to the 15 Pro Max. So again, Apple are aiming this phone at the creatives who want the telephoto lens, and this phone at the average user who just wants to be able to shoot a good image without too much fuss and messing around with the camera settings, which I think it does very well. And to be honest, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend this phone to many people. I think I'm even tempted to change this phone myself, because I really like how it works and how it processes images and the results you get from it. So I hope you had a good chance to look over those images, and now you can see the differences, if any. There is differences on the digital zoom between the 2 phones. So when you zoom in on this one, you get a worse result than that one, because this one obviously has a 5 times telephoto and this one doesn't. So that's essentially what the difference is on that. Now, for video performance, this one, they're pretty similar in terms of video performance, but the Pro Max does do 4K 120 now, which most people will have no idea what that means, and it won't matter at all to them. And what it essentially means is you can take it 120 frames per second and slow it right down. So for creatives, videographers, it gives them the option to do more cinematic footage and edit and play around with the footage more. So again, this is really appealing to the pro market, again, more so than the average user, which this one does. So in terms of video performance, I'll show you some video clips. So we'll clip the two side by side. I think this one offers excellent video performance and it's got plenty of power. So this has got an A18 chip in it. This has got an A18 Pro chip in it. Both very powerful chips. They can run console-style games on the phones. Second, I wouldn't have any problems. Either both phones are every data use are very powerful, can render footage easily, and no problems whatsoever. Now, in terms of audio, this has supposed to have got studio quality mics in it now, and this has also got 4 mics, but not studio quality. So what I'm going to do is take some video on both, compare them, put them side by side.
This is the iPhone 16 Pro Max in 4K 60 on the front camera, just doing a test compared to the 16 Plus in 4K 60, see if there's any difference. The front camera should be identical, so there shouldn't be, but there might be a bit of difference on the processing on the phone. So this is the iPhone 16 Plus on the front-facing camera at 4K 60, using the built-in microphone only.
Also, the unboxing was recorded on the Pro Max, so that'll give you some indication of the quality of the audio without any external microphone, compared to my DSLR, which I'm using now. But both phones are going to give you spatial video if you've got the Apple Vision Pro, which I know a lot of people don't have, but they can both do that, which is why they've changed the camera module on that, so it can do Vision Pro. Spatial video, you've got macro photography on both, which is excellent. The Pro phone also starts at 256 storage on the Pro Max and 128GB storage on the Pro. So if you want more storage for your money and the bigger screen, so you've got the 6.9-inch screen on this one, it makes it feel a big phone. So make sure you play around with this before you buy it. Because I find this pretty big in my hand and the pocket to carry it around, so it can get a bit cumbersome. So I would play around with it in the shop and see how you feel about it. The 16 Plus is a better size for me, so I feel this offers a better balance between the sizes, but again, you lose out on some of the features. So it may be the 16 Pro is kind of the Goldilocks phone for some people because it offers the professional features of the Pro Max, but then it goes and also offers a similar form factor to this, kind of smaller than this phone, but kind of feels a lot easier in your pocket. But you will take a hit on battery life because obviously the batteries in these two phones are larger. And that brings me on to battery life. And I have to say that battery life on both phones has been excellent. As Apple said in their launch video, better on the 16 Plus. This has been really, really good. I can get through 2 days nearly on it, even recording video without charging it. So battery life's excellent. Same on the Pro Max. Because it's got a bigger screen, it's not quite as good. So if you're using it more for photographs and video, you will lose a bit more battery, but still excellent battery performance. And it's better than my current driver, my Google Pixel 9 Pro XL. So I've noticed the difference substantially when I've switched back. Another thing to mention for the Pro users is that this has a USB-C 3 port, so it's much faster than the USB 2 port on this one. So if you're going to be transferring a lot of video, that's another thing to bear in mind, because this will transfer a lot faster. Also, if you're going to be using the recording to external storage, so in Apple ProRes, because you can't do Apple ProRes on the 16 Plus, so you're going to want to be buying this if you want to do a lot of Apple ProRes video, which is their professional video format, and record to an external hard drive doing that, so you don't eat up the phone storage. Even in the 1 terabyte model, you're going to be eating up storage. Then you're going to have to go for the Pro models because that's going to offer you the faster transfer speeds to that hard drive. Again, average user who's not going to have any interest in doing that, the 16 Plus and the 16 standard lineup are fantastic phones, and I'm so tempted to switch from the Pixel Pro to this phone because I love the color, I love the cameras. I love everyday performance, and it's not something, I've thought about for a while going back to iOS, but I really love the watch as well, which I'll do another review on. And the integration, the Apple ecosystem with the Mac is something that is something that you can't beat. So my recommendation would be to go for the 16 Plus if you're not bothered about the. Also, just one thing to mention on the Plus is you lose the refresh rate, so you don't have ProMotion. So ProMotion means that this will give you much smoother scrolling on the. I thought I'd notice a big difference, but actually I don't in everyday performance. So the fact that both screens are excellent screens, and the refresh rate to me doesn't matter too much. So it does just get away with it, even though it is annoying that a lot of Android phones half the price have a lot higher refresh rate screens than that. But I personally don't think it matters as much as I thought it might do. So have a play around with both phones before you buy them in the shop. That's what I'd definitely recommend to do. And if you're not bothered about having the telephoto camera and you can live with the 60 hertz refresh rate, just get this phone. Get the 16 Plus or the 16, which is a bit smaller, because it's such a great phone. I would recommend this over the Pro any day to the standard user who's not going to be bothered about doing 4K 120, not going to use it for content creation, just going to use it as your average daily driver. So this comes in 128 gigabytes, 256 and 512. So this is 128 gig, which actually I thought would be too small, but you can get away with it if you use iCloud. So get a good amount of storage on iCloud, and that's fine. 128 gigabyte will be absolutely fine as the base storage, even though it is a bit stingy in this day and age for the money. If you want to carry more photos around on your phone or files, then look at the 256, but I wouldn't necessarily bother going for the 512 in this kind of, if you go for a 16 Plus and a 512 gigabyte, you're going for well over $1,000, and you may as well go for the Pro if you're going to do that. So keep it spec'd low. Don't go high on the storage. If you're going to go high on the storage, get the Pro, because there really isn't any point in buying the high storage model of the 16 Plus. One thing I forgot to mention on these is the photographic styles, which is excellent. That really gives you a great control over the picture and lets you decide how you want the photo to be. Also, the camera button, the sapphire crystal camera button, you get on both. So that's exclusive. It's not exclusive to the Pro. You've got the action button on both. You've got the camera control on this one as well. So again, that's not a reason to go for the Pro model. So that's another reason why I'm recommending this 16 Plus, because you've got so many features. The action button, the camera control, the 48 megapixel camera, the good, decent quality screen, the studio audio effects. You've got so many, and you've got Apple Intelligence coming to both phones, which I don't want to mention too much about now because I can't try it out. Yeah, it's not available yet, so I don't see that as something to talk about at the moment. We'll do another review on that later on the channel. But the 16 Plus gives you so many features that the Pro gives you as well. So you can save yourself a couple of £100 and not get the Pro. Just get this if you normally use it. If you're a content creator, look at the Pro. But I've tried doing content creation on this, and actually it works pretty well. So don't automatically assume you need to buy the Pro model. That's what I'm trying to get from this. Play around with both, see which one you feel. And if you can't live without that refresh rate, then maybe get the Pro. But Apple say that they've done the ceramic shield, so it's even stronger than ever. I've not tried that out. I've got them both in a case and screen protector because I don't want to damage these units. So the Plus starts at $899. The standard phone starts at $799. The 16 Pro starts at £1,000, $999, and the Pro Max starts at $1,199 with the 256 gigabytes of storage, but you do get less storage on the standard Pro. So it is a bit of a confusing lineup, but I think overall, if you just want a decent iPhone that we're going to make very good photos, very good videos, the 16 Plus or the 16 standard phone, depending on which size screen you want, is the one to go for in the lower storage options. Do not go for the higher storage options because you will waste your money. Go for the Pro ones if you're going to go for the higher storage options. So thank you very much for watching. I hope it's been helpful. If you'd let me know in the comments below anything else you'd like to see, I'll go over, and I hope I remember to cover everything in this video. I think I have. Let me know what you think, and hope to speak to you next time. Thank you very much for watching, and give me that thumbs up and that subscribe.